Emily's voice cut through the room. Your family will never accept me. Daniel's reply was calm but final. Then you never accepted us. Family and love are two of the most powerful forces in our lives. But what happens when they collide? For Daniel, that collision happened on a night he would never forget. Daniel had always been a family-oriented man. His parents, siblings, and even his cousins had shaped his values. They weren't perfect, but they were bonded by loyalty, tradition, and support. When he met Emily, he believed she would become part of that circle. She was bright, ambitious, and carried herself with a spark that made him believe she could fit in anywhere. But from the very beginning, Emily felt different about his family. Where Daniel saw love, she saw judgment. Where he saw guidance, she felt pressure. Family dinners turned into quiet battles of disapproval. Smiles felt forced. Words were measured. And while Daniel tried to convince himself that things would improve, Emily's frustration only grew. So when Daniel invited her to a family celebration, a night filled with laughter, food, and tradition, he hoped it might bring them closer. He imagined a bridge forming between the woman he loved and the people who had raised him. But instead of healing old wounds, the night tore open every hidden scar. A single sentence, "Your family will never accept me," shattered the fragile balance he had been trying so hard to maintain. And Daniel's reply? It wasn't just a defense of his family. It was a declaration about love, belonging, and the choices that define us. This is the story of how one man faced the hardest question anyone in love can encounter. Do you choose the person who claims to love you, or the family who has always stood by you? Emily sat across the dinner table, her fork moving slowly, barely touching the food on her plate. Around her, Daniel's family laughed loudly, sharing stories from childhood, trading inside jokes that seemed to create a wall she couldn't climb. Daniel's younger brother cracked a joke that made everyone roar with laughter. But Emily only smiled faintly, lowering her eyes as though she didn't belong. Daniel noticed. He always noticed. He reached under the table and gently squeezed her hand, a silent reassurance that she was part of this family too. But the truth was, Emily didn't feel it. She never had. It wasn't that Daniel's family was cruel. In fact, they were warm, welcoming in their own way. His mother always asked Emily if she wanted another helping of food. His father politely inquired about her work. His sister complimented her outfit. But beneath the surface of small talk, Emily felt something else, an invisible current of judgment. She was ambitious, outspoken, unwilling to hide her opinions. And in Daniel's traditional, close-knit family, she felt like an outsider. One evening, after a particularly tense dinner, Emily finally broke the silence as they drove home. Daniel, she began, her voice tight, do you not see it? The way your mother looks at me? Like I'll never be good enough for you? Daniel gripped the steering wheel, his chest tightening. Emily, you're imagining things. My mom's just cautious. She needs time. Time? Emily scoffed, turning her face toward the window. We've been together for almost 2 years. How much more time do they need? Her words cut him deeper than she knew. Because Daniel wasn't blind, he had noticed the subtle glances, the long pauses, the awkward moments when his family avoided certain questions about their future. But he also knew his family. Their love was steady but layered with tradition. Acceptance wasn't always immediate, but when it came, it was real. Daniel believed Emily just needed patience. Emily believed Daniel was in denial. The tension grew in small, almost invisible ways. At birthday dinners, Emily sat quietly while the family talked about shared childhood memories she could never be part of. At weddings, she watched how Daniel's cousins danced together, laughing in a rhythm she couldn't follow. Even when she smiled, she felt like her smile was borrowed, never truly hers. One Sunday after lunch with his family, Emily finally snapped. I can't keep doing this, Daniel, she said as soon as they walked into his apartment. Doing what? He asked, genuinely confused. Pretending smiling, sitting at those dinners like, I'm welcome when everyone's secretly judging me. Your mom barely talks to me. Your dad only asks about work as if that's all I am. Your sister? She's polite, but she looks at me like I'm temporary. Daniel sat down, burying his face in his hands. Emily, they don't hate you. They just don't know you yet. Her eyes filled with tears, frustration bubbling to the surface. And what if they never do, Daniel? What then? Do I spend my whole life waiting for their approval? For them to see me as more than just an intruder? Daniel stood and pulled her close, his voice breaking. You're not an intruder. You're the woman I love, and one day they'll love you too. I know they will. But Emily wasn't convinced. Every small silence at the dinner table felt louder in her heart. Every polite smile felt like a barrier. She started to dread family gatherings, making excuses to avoid them. But Daniel begged her to try to give them another chance, to believe in the possibility of harmony. So when Daniel invited her to his cousin's engagement celebration, Emily hesitated. She wanted to say no, but the way Daniel looked at her, with hope in his eyes, with a silent plea in his voice, she couldn't refuse. Fine, she sighed. But Daniel, if this night ends the same way the others have, I don't know how much more I can take. Daniel smiled softly, holding her hand. This night will be different. I promise. But deep down, Emily wasn't sure she believed him. And as she dressed for the celebration, carefully choosing a dress she hoped would make her look both elegant and approachable, her chest tightened with dread, because while Daniel saw this night as a chance to build bridges, Emily feared it might be the night that burned them all. The engagement party was buzzing with music, chatter, and the clinking of glasses. Daniel walked in with Emily by his side, hand firmly holding hers as though reminding her, "You belong here." The ballroom glowed with golden light, tables dressed with flowers and laughter echoing off the walls. His cousins rushed to greet him, hugging him tightly, pulling him into circles of conversation. Emily smiled politely, waiting, hovering just outside the warmth of the group. When Daniel's aunt noticed her, she gave a quick nod. "Oh, Emily, you're here," she said, as if Emily's presence was a surprise rather than an expectation. Emily's smile stiffened. "Yes, I wouldn't miss it." The night rolled forward with toasts, family jokes, and stories that Emily didn't understand. Daniel tried to include her, introducing her to cousins, pulling out chairs, guiding her toward the buffet, but she still felt like a shadow in a room full of light. At one point, Daniel's mother leaned across the table and asked, "So, Emily, do your parents ever come to these types of family functions?" The question, though seemingly innocent, felt heavy. Emily's parents lived in another city, and they weren't part of Daniel's world, she answered politely. But the tone in Daniel's mother's voice made her feel like an outsider again. Later, when the music picked up and the younger cousins started dancing, Daniel tugged Emily toward the floor. "Come on, it'll be fun." Emily shook her head. "I don't know their dances, Daniel. I'll look stupid." "They don't care," Daniel laughed. "They'll love that you're trying." Reluctantly, Emily joined him. Daniel spun her playfully, smiling with a joy that made her heart ache. For a brief moment, she let herself believe she belonged until she caught the look on his sister's face, a raised eyebrow, a quick stifled laugh. Emily froze. Her cheeks burned. She pulled away from Daniel. "I need some air," she muttered, walking quickly toward the balcony. Daniel followed, worry etched across his face. On the balcony, the night air was cool, but Emily's chest was burning. She leaned against the railing, arms folded tightly. "Emily," Daniel said softly, "what happened? You were smiling just a minute ago." She spun toward him, eyes glistening. "Do you not see it? They don't want me here, Daniel. Every smile is forced, every question is loaded. Your sister laughed at me, your mother questioned my family. Your aunt acted shocked I even showed up. I'm not welcome in this world." Daniel stepped closer, hands raised. "Emily, you're overthinking." "No, Daniel." She cut him off, voice sharp. "I'm not overthinking. I've been feeling this for 2 years. And tonight it hit me harder than ever. Your family will never accept me." Daniel's chest tightened. His jaw clenched. He had heard her say variations of this before, but never with this much finality. He tried to stay calm. "Emily, they just need more time." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "Time? How much more time? Do I wait 5 years, 10? Do I keep showing up to these dinners, these parties, smiling through the judgment until I'm too broken to smile anymore?" Daniel's own frustration boiled over. He grabbed the railing beside her, his voice louder than he intended. "Emily, this isn't just about them. This is about us. If you can't even give them the chance, if you can't even try, then you never accepted us." The words hung in the air, heavy, final. Emily's breath caught in her throat. She stared at him, wounded as though his words had sliced her open. "I never accepted us?" She whispered almost to herself. "Daniel, I've been fighting for us every single day. I've been bending myself into shapes I don't even recognize, just to fit into a family that clearly doesn't want me. And now you're saying I'm the one who doesn't accept us. Daniel's voice softened, but his anger was still there, simmering beneath his words. Emily, love isn't just about the two of us in a bubble. It's about families, about building a life that includes more than just you and me. If you can't accept that, then maybe you never accepted what we are. Emily's tears blurred the glittering city lights beyond the balcony. For a long moment, she said nothing. The music from inside floated out faintly, distant, mocking the silence between them. Finally, she turned away. Maybe you're right, Daniel. Maybe I never did. Her heels clicked against the stone as she walked back inside, leaving him standing in the cold night air, heart pounding with the weight of words he couldn't take back. Inside, the celebration carried on as if nothing had happened. But for Emily and Daniel, everything had changed. The rest of the night blurred into fragments for Daniel. Laughter, music, clinking glasses, everything felt distant, muffled, as though he were underwater. He smiled when people looked his way, but his mind was still on the balcony, on Emily's trembling voice, on her tears. When he finally slipped away from the party, Emily was gone. He called her phone. No answer. He sent messages. No reply. The drive home was silent, his chest aching with every mile. He replayed the moment again and again, his words, her expression, the way she walked away as though something inside her had broken. The next morning, he showed up at her apartment. Emily opened the door slowly, her eyes swollen, her face pale. "Daniel," she whispered. "Emily," he said, voice cracking. "I didn't mean what I said. I was angry. I felt like you were giving up on us, and I panicked." Emily shook her head, tears spilling again. "You don't get it, Daniel. I've been carrying this weight alone. Every time I walk into your family's house, I shrink a little more. And last night, when you told me I never accepted us, it felt like you didn't see me at all, like everything I've been trying, everything I've been sacrificing, didn't matter." Daniel's throat tightened. "It does matter. You matter. Emily, I don't care how long it takes. I'll fight for you, even if it means fighting my own family. But I need you to fight with me, not against me." Emily looked at him for a long, heavy moment. Then finally she whispered, "I don't know if I have any fight left, Daniel." Silence, the kind that felt like goodbye. Daniel stepped back, pain written across his face. "If that's true, then maybe loving me isn't enough anymore." Emily closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. She didn't stop him when he turned and walked away. As the door clicked shut behind him, Emily sank to the floor, holding her face in her hands. For the first time, she realized love alone could not carry the weight of rejection, family, and the silent battles they had both failed to win. Life forces us to make choices we never imagined we'd face. For Daniel, that choice came in the form of a sentence that cut deeper than any argument ever had. And while he stood by his family, the truth is these moments are never easy. Now I want to ask you, what would you have done? If someone you love told you that your family would never accept them, would you walk away from your family? Or would you ask your partner to reconsider? To understand that love doesn't mean isolation, it means integration. These aren't just questions for Daniel or Emily. They're questions for all of us, because whether it's family, friends, or community, the people around us shape who we are, and when love demands that we cut those ties, it forces us to confront a painful truth. Maybe the love we're fighting for isn't love at all. I'd love to hear your perspective in the comments. Has someone ever asked you to choose between them and your family? Did you manage to find a middle ground? Or did you have to make the heartbreaking choice of letting one go? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you want more powerful, real-life stories that challenge the way we see love, family, and relationships, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because every week, we share stories that aren't just entertainment. They're reflections of life's toughest choices. Remember, love should never force you to give up the people who helped you become who you are. True love expands your world, it doesn't shrink it.